All right, everyone. Today I'm so excited. I've got Ashley Jones. Are we calling you Ashley Jones? I know you're married now. Is that
We are Ashley Jones, baby.
okay? Great. So first, I just want to start by thanking you so much for doing this for the new Hello Gorgeous YouTube channel thing.
Oh,
Um, and the whole point behind this, for me anyway, is to talk about and share the beauty of recovery.
mhm.
The war stories and what happened and all of this, the shame and the guilt and the ugliness is often so similar.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I just want to talk about, we're going to start with D-Day, as I call it, the decision to get better, and what that looked like for you, if you don't mind sharing with
Oh,
us.
not at all. Thank you so much. And let me just preface by saying thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so
I've
glad.
got chills.
I'm so grateful and so happy to be here. I adore you.
Thank you.
So D-Day, that was November 15th, 2014. So I'll have, by the grace of God, 7 years sober next month. And, I had come into the 12 step program throughout the years so many times in and out because it was very clear that I had had an issue with drugs and alcohol. And it was evident to everyone except for me. It was everything else, right? It was the boyfriend, it was the girlfriend, it was this, it was that, it was all the other things.
Listen,
It was
I've
the
got an
last
ex-wife and an ex-husband. I know.
period. Honey, we got to talk about that because I can relate. Okay. So it was everything else. It was everything else. It was the last drink. It was never the first drink. Right. And then, but I kept coming back into the 12 step programs. And, finally I had had enough. I finally just hit my place of like spiritual bankruptcy, which a lot of us know what that looks like, especially those of us in recovery. And I knew where I could turn. So I came to the only place that would accept me, the last house on the block, so they say.
Yeah.
And I was welcomed with open arms, and thank God for that. Thank goodness that we don't shoot our wounded. So I decided to really just give this thing a shot. I had kind of teeter-tottered for years and years and years, and obviously that had gotten me to no avail. What is it? The easier, softer way. The result
Yeah.
was nil. The result was nil until I let go. Absolutely, right.
Yeah.
So that's what it was like for me. And when I made that decision, it was just, it was
If you
like,
don't, I mean, take me there. This is what fascinates me so much, because I hear so many stories about that pivotal moment and what that's like for people. I know, and not I know that I'm here, we're here to talk about you, but I
oh,
remember being 30 years drunk and high and all of that stuff, and I can remember the moment, what a spiritual sort of pivotal moment that was for me, on my hands and knees just begging God to kill me or cure me, because I couldn't do that anymore. What did that look like for you? I'm just curious.
so I'll tell you what, to give you some very serious, the exact moment, I'll tell you what. I woke up one day next to a person I didn't really know. And this was not someone that I had ever would have ever in a sober mind want to have gone home with, right? And I woke up, I had no idea what had happened the night before. And this person proceeded to explain to me how I ended up there, and in that moment, I felt as though I was living in hell. I felt like I was living in hell. I felt the absolute absence of God.
Mhm.
And I felt like I was a complete empty, just shell of a person. And I remember leaving, feeling all the shame and all the guilt just weighing up so heavily on me. And I just asked, like, God, is this it? Like, is this it? And I remember I heard in my spirit, not an audible thing, but in my spirit, no, this is not what I have for you. Just let go. And that day, that was that morning, that day, I ended up at a noon meeting and picking up a surrender chip and really having that moment of I could finally breathe again. For my life, throughout my life, surrender and letting go was always kind of a sign of weakness. And in that moment, And the word of God speaks about, in my weakness, my God is made strong. And that's what it felt like. It felt like finally I did not have to keep, like, I didn't have to fight anymore. I could finally let go and truly, truly trust in God. And that decision was the greatest decision of my life. And it has been a roller coaster, and it's been scary. So there's been scary times, but I literally am like a child with my hands up, just like,
Yeah.
ah, like just like flying on this roller
Listen, you're
coaster.
preaching to the choir, honey.
Like,
I know what I can relate exactly with what you're just describing.
thank you. Thank you. I didn't
And
even realize I was going to go there, but you know what?
but
The truth will set you free, and we can speak about those things today, without shame, without shame. That's a blessing.
absolutely. And before we
Mhm.
started recording, I said, I don't know where this is going to go. And that's
I
that's
did
the
not expect it
beauty.
to go there.
But it's funny. I've told my story so many times. It's like insane. And I talk about that day for me, and it
Mhm.
still brings tears to my eyes. It doesn't matter how many people I'm in front of or how many times I tell the story. When that happens, it's such an emotional, pivotal moment for
Mhm.
so many people.
Absolutely. And it
And I'm
definitely
glad
was.
that God was involved in yours too, because he was in mine as well.
I mean, I think if anyone is being truly honest, God is involved in all of ours, whether you know it or not. You'll come to find out eventually. It is
Hmm.
just, God has always been there, and he always will be. It's just the moment that I decide, the moment I decided I wasn't God, that's when I could really sense that God had always been there. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
alive to tell the tale if he wasn't.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. And we'll get into that a little bit too, because I know that my higher power, my definition of God is probably different or maybe not than yours. And then so many people have different sort of burning bush moments, I guess you could call them.
Mhm.
So we'll get into that in a little bit, because as a 45-year-old gay guy trying to, when I had that moment, I was not expecting it to be as spiritual as it was. So I'm excited to talk about that. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you.
For sure.
In a not so creepy way, I have followed your growth over the last 7 years. But I don't want you to think I'm like a stalker. But when you're in
Stalk
recovery,
me, please.
you're safe with me, honey. You know that. But I remember like the first year of my sobriety being so overwhelmed and moved and just blown away by the spiritual stuff that was happening in my life,
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
it wasn't until a little bit later that I started seeing those stories happening around me and
Hmm.
realizing that he was doing this for a lot of people. And that's when I sort of kind of latched onto your story, because I was trying to remember earlier when we first met.
Lady on the ladies at the lake meeting. I remember. I
Oh,
thought of it
now,
today.
yes.
I thought of it today, and I was like, that's where we met.
Because yes, I was the house manager, I think, or something at the women's sober house. That's right, out on the
Yeah.
patio, and you had your
Mhm.
son.
I
The
think
kid,
Jackson might have been there. He
he
might have been
was,
there.
because there were
Yeah.
several kids. Because I got stuck
Yep.
out on the patio because I was a guy.
Oh yeah,
You
that's
you
right.
ladies wanted to have your meeting, so I was
That's
out there
right.
babysitting basically.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been a while, and I've watched you grow so much over the last few years, and you've been probably at the top of the list of people that have inspired me. Um, just watching how wonderful and beautiful recovery can be.
Oh, honey, thank
Um,
you so much for saying so.
so
Thank
let's go back. So
you.
so you got into recovery and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I had met your husband. I was
Mm-hmm.
working for a treatment center, and we had a grand opening event, and he was working for an events company. I don't know if he still
Yes,
does.
he did. The years ago he did do that. No, he doesn't do it anymore. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he showed up with his team to set up for our grand opening. So I met him, I think, before you even, not
Wow.
knowing that you guys were going to end up married and all of that.
Who knew?
So you're a single mom in recovery in the
Hmm.
beginning.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that?
It was, so I came back to Jacksonville because I'm originally from Jacksonville, but I moved and lived in Orlando for years and years and years. And I came back to Jacksonville to kind of try to get myself back together. And my son was in private school, so he stayed in Orlando while I was in Jacksonville, and I actually didn't have a car, so I would take the Greyhound bus every weekend to Orlando. I would leave either Friday night or Saturday morning, and I would come home either Sunday night or Monday morning. So I would be there 2 to 3 days out of the week, going on a Greyhound bus every single weekend. And like that, I love what you said about your first year of sobriety, because that, like, you couldn't told me like the Greyhound bus is a bad thing. I was like making friends with people and like having like the time of my life. Like everything about that experience, my first year, was just, it just felt like magic, because it had been so long that I lived in this like place of darkness, that just to be able to feel gratitude and happiness and joyful and not wake up hungover and in pain was a gift to me. So like not having a car didn't mean anything to me. I was just like, okay, whatever. Like I don't have a car. It didn't even feel like I needed a car at the time. So I would go back and forth from Jacksonville to Orlando, and I'd be with Jackson, and just grow that relationship from a sober place, because, my son was 4 years old when I got sober. He doesn't have any memory, and I really didn't drink or drug around him. I was one of those people that like when he went to sleep, the turn up really happened, and that kind of placated my drug addiction and my alcoholism, because I could always tell myself, well, I'm not doing it in front of him. I'm not doing anything in front of him. He's asleep when I do this, So that was something I was able to like justify myself with. But when I really got down to brass tacks and really saw the type of person that I was, and that the copious amounts of drugs and alcohol that I was doing, I really had to take a look at myself and say, like, this is not okay. So now I was being like a full mother, where like I would wake up in the morning with him and we'd do gratitude lists together, and we become like start meditating together, and he would always like fall asleep, and I'm like, that's fine, baby, fall asleep, that means you're at a place of peace, and
Yeah.
so there was times when I would like think about like the past, and like that I didn't have those moments with him. And my best friend Jessica was like, Ashley, like if you hadn't been there then, you wouldn't be the mom that you are today. Like, I don't know any mothers that sit down and meditate with their kids, that do gratitude lists with their kids, that like sing positive affirmations over them in the morning and at night. And like, I still do that to this day. My son's 11 years old. He's like, all right, mom, enough with the positive affirmations. I'm like, you need it even more now.
But that's real gratitude. I mean, and I often describe that as like the contrast when, like you were saying earlier, about coming from such a small, dark, hopeless place to waking up and experiencing things, even if it's a Greyhound trip every weekend or something, just to be present and alive and part of the world again is so exciting. And people, I don't think people get that.
No, they don't. They really, I mean, and I felt like I was finally living, like I was living for the first time, like seeing in color. I'd been in black and white for so long, and I was like seeing in color. Like the sky was like, wow, the sky, this like the sunset was like breathtaking. Like my first year of sobriety, I think I cried. And you can ask people in Jacksonville, they would make fun of me, because every time I'd share, I'd be like, my name's Ashley, I'm an alcoholic, and I'm so thankful. Like,
I did the same thing.
I could not contain it, because the gratitude, when you feel that amount of gratitude and appreciation for your life, my human body has no response but like breaks into tears. And you can ask Kyle, I still cry like once a day. I need a good cry.
Yeah. No, I can appreciate that. I remember going to the grocery store for the first time. I had never been to the groceries, like the produce section. Wow. And I'm in there just so excited to be like, have a buggy, and I'm putting fresh produce in the buggy. And I'm 46, 47 years old, and I'm awake in a grocery store. It sounds crazy.
No, it doesn't at all, because everything is an experience. And that's a thing. I think that like we take life, sometimes we're not fully present. So we're not seeing that God, our higher power,
Yeah.
whatever the higher power is for anyone, I believe, like, if it works for you, it works for you. I don't by any means try to preach at people at all. It's attraction, not promotion anyways. But when you're truly present, I feel like that in and of itself is a spiritual experience every day,
Yeah.
every moment.
Well,
When I'm
especially
really,
when you've been absent for so long.
yeah,
Again, that contrast is such a beautiful thing.
absolutely.
So, so let's talk about did you have the support of your family at
Oh
that
my
time?
gosh. Well, at first,
Not everybody does, honey. Sometimes we burn those bridges and they won't take our
it took
calls.
a little bit of time to really regain that trust. But when I wasn't talking about it anymore, because I used to, I'm getting sober, I'm doing my thing, I'm gonna get right, I'm gonna get
They
right.
heard it
I
all.
said it for so long.
Yeah.
This time I didn't talk about it. It was like I was about it. So I mean, when they really, really saw that, I mean, they opened their arms to me completely. I don't know if the door was ever really, really shut. People just had to protect themselves because I had let them down for so many years. So it was kind of like, I've got to protect myself and not continue to let you in my life because you're
Healthy
sick.
boundaries. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I completely understand that. And hindsight's
Because
2020.
we have to have them now with other people to protect our sobriety. Just saying.
Right.
So they supported you and
Absolutely. My family couldn't be prouder. They were celebrating things like, I remember, like 11 days in, like I really, like, they were like immediately like so happy for me, and like just they could really, really see that like it was different then, and I'm very grateful for that.
so tell me about you and Kyle. When did this happen?
So actually, I love this story because
By the way,
I
Kyle is as good looking as Ashley.
he is. I think Kyle is better looking than Ashley.
I'm trying to keep it professional here
Kyle
as
is
a
just
gay
beautiful.
guy.
He is so beautiful. And the thing about Kyle is he is as gorgeous on the inside, if not more gorgeous
He
on the
doesn't look
inside.
like anybody I've ever met.
Oh
Like
my gosh, he's like the
he
most exotic
has
looking.
it's go
He's
ahead,
so
I'm
handsome.
sorry.
He's so handsome. And very, very humble also. Like he I don't even think he knows he's attractive. He's not blind. He knows he's attractive, but he's never like, oh yeah, I know I'm like so hot or whatever. Like he thinks I'm hotter than he is. So that's good. We both think that of each other. But so Kyle and I met actually. I was working with a gentleman also in the program. We were serving at some restaurant, and we were both sober, and like I just said. And he's like, oh, I go to this Tuesday detox center, do you want to come and share your story? There's a lot of women that you could help out. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. I don't have a car though. And he's like, no, it's okay, cool, like my buddy, he picks us up and he takes us all. And I'm like, okay, cool, awesome, yeah, I'm down. So he's like, okay, come tonight. And I'm like, all right, neat. I'm coming up on my 1 year anniversary, sober birthday. So I'm like, yeah, man, I'm gonna start sharing my story with these women. This is gonna be great. So this guy calls me later on that evening, probably about an hour till when the meeting's gonna start. And he's like, hey, honey, he can't pick you up. He's just getting off work. He's got to go home and shower and stuff like that. I'm sorry. I'm like, oh, it's all right, whatever. Then like 20 minutes later, I get a call, come outside. We're going to come pick you up. I'm like, okay, all right. So the guy just decided he wasn't going to go home and shower and he was going to come pick me up. Well, that guy happened to be Kyle. So I jump in this dude's car and I'm sitting in the back seat and I look in the rear view mirror at him, and he looks up in the rear view mirror at me, and our eyes lock, and Kyle's eyes. I was like, like, but I was super cool about it. I'm like, hey, what's up?
Of course. Yeah.
And he's like, what's up? And we go to this detox meeting, and in that first time meeting, we heard every horrible thing the other person had ever done and how God had delivered us from that and where we were at. At that time, he was about 2 months behind me in sobriety. So we were very close in sobriety birthdays. So he told me his age, And I was like, nah. And he told me he had a girlfriend. And I was like, definitely not. Because Kyle was 20 at the time and I was 27. So I was like, there's no way. Like, he's like a baby. But by that night, he was like sending me Facebook Messenger and telling me, like, you know, just being friendly. But
Right.
I could feel his vibe. And anyway, the next day he broke up with the girlfriend. And sorry, but I mean, it is what it is. And yeah, we started talking a little bit after that, and started dating about 3 months into that. And it took some time. I was very, very resistant. I was very, very difficult to be with. And I told him I am not in any place to be dating anyone. I am chasing God. And he literally asked me, all right, can I just run with you? Like, if you're running towards God, I'm
Aw.
gonna run next to you. I was like, all right. So
And you guys have been running ever since.
we would we would literally stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning doing Bible studies. And it was the first time that a woman had ever stayed up with him and was teaching him about the word of God and doing things like that with him. And that was something that was really special. And our relationship was very, very slow. We just really took our time. It took almost a year for him to meet my son. And like, we just really took our time. And a lot of people like me, you know, alcoholics tend to rush into things. I've been very impulsive in my life. And this was something that we really were very intentional on taking our time, on taking like the next steps. Also, I was like very, very resistant, very resistant.
But it sounds like you guys were on the same page. I
We
mean, you
were,
must have been communicating where
I
you
was
were at
very
well.
honest where I was at.
Yeah.
Kyle was just very consistent and loved me through the whole process of it all. Because I still had a lot of self-worth issues, and I didn't trust men at all, and I didn't truly love myself yet. And
Hmm.
he waited till he loved me there, and loved me so much and consistently, that I began to really see myself the way he saw me. And I started to love myself too. And then I started to love him. Like, it took a long, long time.
Yeah.
I remember like 2 years
Well,
into our
it took
relationship,
as long as it was supposed to take.
it did. About 2 years into our relationship, I was like, oh my God, I I love you.
Look at your face.
I said, I really love you. And he was like, finally.
No, but those are the relationships that last. You know what I mean? To take the time and invest and all of that. And he seems like, I mean, from the moment that I don't know, he just seems like a really good father figure for Jackson.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing. He is
Because
the
I'm still creeping on Facebook at this point, 2 years in. I'm
dad. He is the best dad, the best
yeah,
dad. He will always was to Jackson. And you know, now knowing, you know, we do have our another baby now.
I
Uh,
know.
she's loves him and he loves her very, very much.
I remember when Jackson got his hair cut.
Oh my gosh, that was like the worst day of my life. That was seriously, I cried so hard.
Anybody who doesn't know Jackson, he had this beautiful, beautiful hair.
Golden hair, literally.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
We called it spun gold. Like, it was just, and he wanted to cut
So,
it.
and you cried?
I did. I absolutely did. But I always said, when you're ready, just let me know. Whenever you're ready, just let me know and we'll cut it. And he said he was ready. And I was like, but I'm not ready.
So now you have a daughter.
Now we have a daughter.
So okay, so you and Kyle get married.
So Kyle and I, actually, Kyle and I's wedding was November 22nd, 2020. It was supposed to be, but it ended up getting canceled because of the pandemic. So we are still engaged, and the wedding has been postponed.
Because I remember, did you guys take pictures and stuff? I mean, you guys were ready.
We had engagement pictures. We had the venue.
That's what I remember.
Honey, we had the whole
She said, honey.
But when that happened, it was actually a blessing in disguise, because we had this huge venue, like this huge deposit on this huge venue, and all these people that we had, you know, 150, 200 people that we were going to invite. And when the pandemic happened and we weren't able to do that, I said, you know what? That's actually, I don't think that's what I want. I think I was trying to do something to be what I thought other people thought I was, a version of myself that people would expect of me. And
Right.
when I really thought about it, that's not what I wanted. I want my wedding day to be nothing but people that are there to support me. I want every eye that I lay on, that looks me in the eyes, to know that there's nothing but 100% love generating from them. And before it was kind of like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I got to be extra,
Yeah.
and I got to do
It
all
was
this.
something that,
And
yeah.
it was all driven in the wrong motives. And that's the whole thing. Like, I'm still an alcoholic even now. I still get in this selfishness, got to, want to impress. I want people to be impressed with me, and I still want to approval seek. And when that happened, God slowed time down during that pandemic. I know a lot of people, we lost so many people, and there was so much pain and fear and all those things. I tell you what, I have never gotten closer to God in my entire life than during that time. And that is something I've held close to me, is being still, and
Yeah.
knowing that God is always there. So I had many, I was one of them, just don't do anything for anybody. What do you and him want to do? And yeah, so we decided to do something a lot smaller.
Again, talk about something to be grateful for, that clarity and the awareness to be able to move through difficult situations like that. Because it had to initially, anyway, until you had time to think about it. You were probably devastated that the wedding was canceled and all of this other stuff.
We really were. We
But
had
then
this
when
whole
you have,
idea and this whole plan.
yeah.
But
And
then
again,
I can't resist God's will. I can't keep resisting it. Like, if this is what it is, I can either be miserable and like continue to drag my feet and have an attitude, or just accept what it is. Acceptance is the answer to all my
all of our
problems
problems.
today.
Absolutely. 417. Is that the page?
Period. or 445 in the second edition. Okay.
Oh, I'm in the fourth edition. I think it's 417.
I'm in the fourth edition too.
So, God, that's a beautiful story though. And you really, really have a beautiful family. So the daughter now is how old?
Jesslyn is 6 months old. She just turned 6 months last week.
Gorgeous. The little video you did the other day when they were a little about Daddy's Girl. Again,
she's
creeping
so
on you.
Dude.
She's perfect.
That is totally fine. I'm fine.
And when you add,
she really is. She's
and when you add two gorgeous people together, of course, the baby's going to be beautiful.
People, it's a hit or miss. We are definitely very, very grateful. They say either two ugly people make a pretty baby, or two pretty people make an ugly baby. So I don't know. We ended up making a pretty baby. So I guess we're not bad.
Well, speaking of which, pregnancy and all of this. So your career now is on an upswing. If is that a good way to describe it?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can say it's an upswing. I like to think of it as I just hopefully staying there, by God's grace on that upswing.
Well, and
we're on an upward trajectory.
And I tied that in with the pregnancy because I watched Because of Charlie yesterday. I rented it. It was the best movie for a Sunday afternoon for me. I just have to say. And in that movie, can I dive in? I know we only have about 10 minutes left.
Go off. Please go.
So, first of all, you and the crazy grandmother were my two favorite characters. And I was a little hesitant going into the movie because I'm like, okay, I'm going to be watching a movie, but I'm going to just see Ashley the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Jessie was a fully developed character. I mean, when in the first scene, when you come running in because you're like the last one to show up for this family gathering, you and your boyfriend, and
Dano.
I know Dano. I know. I got all I don't know why it really resonated with me, the whole story, to be honest with you. But when you barge in the front door and you're like, get out of my way, I gotta pee, and I was like, oh, this isn't Ashley, this is Jessie.
Yeah. Totally different character, yes.
And from that point on, I watched the movie. I wasn't seeing Ashley. I was seeing this character that you successfully created, And in the movie, when John, is his name John Amos?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Grandpa. There's a scene where you're looking out a window or something, and he notices that you're pregnant. Were you actually pregnant with your daughter at the time?
I was. I actually
Okay.
was. I had just found out. But thank you so much for everything that you said about the movie and about my character. I appreciate that so much.
It
You have
was
no idea.
good. It was a good
Thank you. Thank
movie.
you. Us actors, we actors are the most like insecure, self-conscious people in the world.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I put a review. You got 5 stars for me.
John Pinkowski and Lisa are going to be so happy to hear that. So yes, I was pregnant the day before I started filming. 2 days before I started filming, excuse me, was my birthday. And on my birthday, I found out I was pregnant with Jesslyn. And I had already developed this character and, you know, read a script. So I knew Jessie was pregnant. And I'm just like, when I found out I was pregnant, I'm like, God, are you kidding me? Like, I'm seriously, am I that much of a method actor that I had to become pregnant like my character? Like, what the hell is wrong with me?
Look out, Glenn Close.
I mean, seriously. So yeah, I was pregnant. No one on set knew. Kyle and I were the only ones that knew. And I think my mom was the only other person besides Kyle that knew I was pregnant. But yeah, it was an amazing experience. But the first 2 weeks was all day shoots. And then the last 2 weeks was all night shoots. So we were literally eating like, we'd have lunch at like 1 a.m, which we were eating like salmon, and I was pregnant and nauseous. And like, it was just like, for me, no one knew because I'm a professional, you know, so I'm not gonna be like, oh, I feel sick or I can't come to work,
Right.
whatever. No one knew, but I was having a rough time, a rough go of it for a little bit there. But yeah, we got through it. And then when when all the cast found out and the whole production, when they all found out that I was pregnant, they were like, oh my gosh, you were actually pregnant that entire time. They couldn't believe that I was pregnant in the movie and in real life. Like, it was just God. It was God.
Yeah.
It was all God.
Well, I'm very proud of you.
That was because of thank you so much, dear. Thank you so much. It is an absolute blessing. It's amazing the blessings that happen in our lives when we get sober. And just like when we not only get sober, but really like just trust that our higher power is going to pull us through, that it's going to make a way no matter what. I don't have to fear. Like if I survived all the amounts of drugs and alcohol I put in my body, like, what do I have to be afraid for? You know?
Well, and that was, you know, I was about 60 days sober. In fact, I posted earlier on my Facebook page a post that I had done 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. When I was 60 days sober, I had an aha sort of God moment on the beach. And I remember from that day forward, always feeling like something or someone had my back. And I think that's kind of what you're describing is like, it alleviates so much of the fear. There's no way. I mean, could you have imagined 7 years ago that you would be working on your 3rd or 4th movie now? How many movies? So Because of Charlie was movie number what?
So I've been acting actually since I was 5 years old, but my dream was completely taken from me because of my drugs and alcohol.
Right.
But so Because of Charlie was let's see, I'll just say in my adult life, I've done 2 Hallmark films, Just Another Day. Because of Charlie was my 4th feature film.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we got number 5 working on. And
we've got number 5, Zoe's Song.
Tell me.
Oh gosh, Zoe's Song is such a beautiful.
Now it's a faith.
It's a faith-based. Yes, it's a faith-based film. Currently, right now, we are working on the short. And then eventually, hopefully, God willingly, it becomes a feature. So we will just see what happens. It's all in God's hands anyway. But yeah, Zoe's Song, I am blessed enough to play Zoe. And this is an incredible story about this, I don't know how much I can actually say.
Well, listen, I'll tell you what's online. Oh, if it's online, then if I know it, it's probably out there.
Well, I mean, I can't say the story, like what happens in it. You know what I
Right.
mean? What's online? What did you see?
Now I'm scared to bring it up.
No, if it was online, then it's okay. I just don't want my director to get pissed
No,
off at me.
no, I understand, and I certainly don't want that either. It just says that it's, but it implies that you play a woman who's passed away.
Yes, that's what it implies. Yes, yes.
That's all I know. And that, I guess, the man, I don't know, is there going to be flashbacks? I'm just trying to figure out what it's going to be because I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, it's that's it is it. Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, so it's just a story about someone kind of losing their faith and it being restored. You know,
How
losing their faith
perfect is
through the
that?
loss, yeah, through the loss of his wife, and then that faith being restored, God revealing himself. And there's this, my husband in the film actually goes through his own pain of drinking. He starts drinking heavily, and yeah, and he gets to a really, really dark place. And you know, there's never a place too dark that God can't find us. So that's what we're working on right now. And next month I'm working on a Christmas film, so we've got a couple things in the works. And
Well, I might have to have you back.
Oh, I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
Well, I know that we're running out of time because you're a very busy Hollywood woman now, and I don't want to keep you too much. But I do have a question just to kind of wrap it up. And just for the record, this has been an absolute pleasure for me. So thank you so much for taking. I know it's probably dinner time at home,
no, it's fine. I blocked off this time for you, so I was here. I'm present. I'm here now.
So I'm going to ask you this because it's been asked of me so many times when I've sort of been on podcasts and things. Two questions actually, and you sort of alluded to this earlier about how probably neither one of us should be here given what we've been through. Why do you think that you were able to, what was it that, you know what I'm trying to say, like what have you come to terms with as far as why you've been given this beautiful life when so many of our friends, and we have mutual friends that are no longer with us?
So many
Yeah.
are not with us. You know, that's a riddle I will never fully be able to answer. I don't know why I am here. I do know that I am absolutely one of the lucky ones. The big book calls it that we are the lucky ones. And I know that anyone who is struggling with anything has everything that I have in them. Like I'm not any more special than anyone. I did the work. That's why I'm here.
And that's been my answer.
Yep. I took the suggestions. I did the work. I still do the work. You know, almost 7 years in, I still call my sponsor. I still work with women. When I'm asked to share my experience, strength, and hope, like you asked me, essentially that's what this is. When I'm asked to be of service, I always say yes. It does not matter if I'm Hollywood or whatever. It does not. I will never get too big for my britches. I remember where I came from, and I will always do anything that I can to carry this message to the alcoholic and the addict that still suffers. And my life today, all I want for my life to be is a story of a love story to God. That's what I want to give to God. That's why everything on my social media platforms are, you know, trying to glorify God and connect others to sobriety and to God. That's what it's all about. The only reason I'm here is because I did the work. I just came into the rooms. I did the steps as they're laid out, you know, the program of recovery. I took the steps and I still work the steps each and every day of my life. All I have is daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. So every day that I wake up with untreated alcoholism. I have a responsibility and a job to myself each and every day to do what I did yesterday, today, because I can't live on yesterday's sobriety. I can't. I'll go crazy. I may not drink that day, but I'll end up flipping out on Kyle.
Yeah.
I'll end up flipping out on my son. I'll chase someone down in road rage. You know, I've been known to do it. If I don't get
And
with
you're in
God,
Orlando. It's easy to do in Orlando.
it's crazy. I-4, don't catch me not spiritually fit on I-4, because you might have a crazy Black woman chasing you. I get in my prayer closet each and every day before I speak to anyone in my house, before my daughter is awake. I'm in my prayer closet. If she wakes up, she goes with me. We go in the prayer closet together.
You've posted on social media live from your prayer closet.
Absolutely. I have an entire channel based in my prayer closet. Outspoken Prayers. Plug.
I got it. What was that again?
Outspoken Prayers is my YouTube channel. I haven't done a post in a while, but yeah, that was the YouTube channel I came out with in the pandemic. I'm telling you.
Well, listen, that's what Hello Gorgeous. That's what sort of spurred the whole Hello Gorgeous thing too. And I got to tell you, you're doing recovery beautifully. And I just, that was a great answer for the question that I stuttered through about doing the work, because, I too struggled for 30 years and went to treatment 14 times and got arrested, and suicide attempts and Baker Acts and all of the things all those horrible things. Mm-hmm. And so the only difference this time is that I did the work. That's it. And then I let go and let go. Yes. So it's just the truth. It's my truth. It sounds like it's your truth. And if that's the message, to do the work and let go and let God, then that's what it is.
It is. That is.
Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's so good to see your face.
You too. I have to shout out real quick my Jacksonville people, Caitlin, Brianna, Allie, Sasha, Vanessa, Stephanie, my main. Those are my best friends in Jacksonville.
I know some of them.
I know, I think you know all of them. You are not forgotten at all. I still love you. You're still my best friends. And I don't even know if they're going to see this, but I just had to let you know I was thinking about you. I hope I didn't forget anybody. I don't think I did, because those are still. Oh, and Holland, I love you. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm so glad the Lord gave me that. I love you. That's it. That's it from me.
All right. Well, I look forward to having you back. Please keep me posted on when Zoe's song comes out. I'll be sure to watch that as well. And I'm so glad that my channel is called Hello Gorgeous, because you were the perfect first interview. Please send my love to your whole family and best wishes.
I will. I love you. Thank you so much. Goodbye, gorgeous.
We'll talk soon.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.